another episode of God Built This Podcast. I'm your host, Maxine, and we're on episode 229. Let's talk about how this disabled woman tried to get me. Yes, you heard correct. And I'm purposely saying disabled woman instead of a woman who's disabled because this bitch is a crook. Okay, so I'm gonna call it as it is without the PC woke shit. This disabled bitch tried to get me at HEB the other day. Let's talk about it. Now, one thing about me, I present this very nice and kind persona. I do. I seem as if sometimes, maybe not all the time, but especially when I was younger, more times than I would like, I presented this, I could get her, right? This vulnerable target. That's how I was perceived, whether it was by choice or not. That was the perception of Maxine. And that remains to this day. Me being 32, it still is the perception that I experience by others because of just my appearance. And it really speaks to me always going off of these indoctrinations that my parents gave me since I was younger of just be nice, be presentable, just be nice. That was always a part of my just makeup. Be nice. Make sure you be nice. So whether it's be nice in your tone, be nice in your appearance, be nice in your delivery, be nice. So I always have either a smile or I respond in a smile. Like, I just represent that. And I just think that's important, though. I do agree with that life lesson because, be fucking nice. I don't, why are you, I don't like when people are just always mad or, it's one thing to have a resting bitch face. I get that because sometimes I do have that. In spite of me saying this, sometimes I do have a resting bitch face, but then I'll check myself and be like, okay, am I growling right now? Is my face scrunched up or am I smiling? Anyway, so I have this presenting appearance as someone who I guess could get got. So I'm at HEB the other day. And then side note, I have not been feeling just the motivation to cook as much as I did. I don't know what it is. I don't know. So when I finally went back to HEB to gather groceries to cook, I was just like, oh my gosh, I remember this. Anyway, so it was nice. But so I'm in the produce aisle looking at the scallion, looking at the parsley, and my AirPods are on. Typically they're on just so I could continue listening to whatever I'm listening to, which is typically a podcast. So my head's on a pivot. I'm always looking around. Even while my AirPods are on, I'm aware of my surroundings. My bag is on my person, right? It's never just out and about. I'm not just freely, going about life thinking that there's no predators out here. No, I'm aware that anyone could be a predator. Anyone could get me. Anyone, I don't care how old, how young, how nice and presenting you may appear, you could be a predator. And I'm not talking about just sexual. I'm talking about someone who just could violate you by robbing you, by making you believe that they're trustworthy, and then boom, they set you up, stuff like that. I've just seen things. I've heard of things. I've been in just proximity of things to know to not be so quick to let your guard down, okay? Anyway, so I'm in the produce aisle, okay? This disabled bitch come towards me with her wheelchair. Mind you, it's not even a wheelchair. It's, how HEB have these wheels on chairs. Basically, she was on those, okay, while she's shopping because it has a cart with it. So she's like immediately have this like sorry ass tone in her voice, like, oh, like I'm presenting, I'm so weak, oh, I need help, I need help, I need help, like just like instant, hey, look at me, I'm a victim, hey, look at me, I need help, hey, look at me, I need you to help me, I need you to help me type of thing. Mind you, let's talk about this part before we get into anything else. This is a new HEB for me, okay? And for those who are not from Texas and may not be familiar with HEB is a grocery store that is big here in Texas. There's an HEB every corner. It's the best grocery store in Texas. It's better than Randall's. Everything is better than Randall's, to say that. Everything is Walgreens is better than Randall's, and I'm more of a CVS girl, but Walgreens is better than Randall's, okay? Fucking Central Market, and I don't even go to Central Market, but just the aesthetic of Central Market is better than Randall's. Randall's just needs to be torn down, okay? Anyway, so HEB is a grocery store here in Texas. That's pretty much of a big deal. So, and what's great about it is that there's different sizes to it. There's like the headquarters HEB, which is just like the bigger size. And there's just like the regular size, which is still big, but it has everything, of course. It has samples too. You have live chefs in like this makeshift kitchen at the center of the meats section, and you have people dancing in the aisles. Like no one dancing in the hall in the aisles. I was saying hallways. Anyway, so the point is a big grocery store, okay? There's a lot going on, there's a lot of people. So I'm at this new one because I'm in this, I forgot where I was going the other day, but I was driving, I don't know, I just happened to go to this HEB, and it was just in the route that I was on, and I needed to pick up some groceries. So I'm like, okay, let me just stop at this HEB. It's not too far from where I am, and it was already on the route. So boom, that's fine. Now, I typically like to go to the usual HEB that I frequent, you know, because I've become so accustomed to the setup, the aisles. I know where to go for my typical items. I'm very comfortable there. Like, it's just a typical surrounding that I am used to. So it's just like with any grocery store. If you go to a new one, you have to just adjust to the new setup of things. You know, your turkey bacon may not be on the right hand side, it's all the way to the back corner, and it's like, what the fuck, you know? Or, you know, the mouthwash is over by that little section there near the travel size, when it in your usual HEB is right as soon as you walk in. You know, it's just too much of a distance, too much of an inconvenience. It's a lot of these things. So this is a new HEB I'm going to, and it's a bigger size, and I was attracted to it because I was like, ooh, crawfish, because crawfish is now in season, and they were selling some right at the front, and I'm like, you know what, let me go ahead and get some crawfish as I'm shopping. So I pick up my crawfish, and then I go inside I drop the crawfish back in my car, and then I go back inside the HEB to go grocery shopping. So I go inside, and I'm in the produce aisle looking at the parsley because I'm about to make my épices, which is a Haitian seasoning that is a mixture of several herbs, including parsley, scallion, onion, garlic, habanero pepper, green pepper, red pepper, I said parsley, cilantro, a little bit of oil. I use avocado oil. You mix that all up together, and it's this puree that you'll put on your meats. You'll put in your rice. It's just to add some flavor, and it's great. It's perfect for everything. It's your one-stop shop for seasoning, and it works every time. Thank me right now. Back to the story. So I'm picking up my ingredients for the épices, for the Haitian épices. So then this disabled bitch comes up behind me on some, like, I immediately felt her on her way towards me, because again, my head's on a pivot. But you know, when you're about to pick out the herb, right, the produce, you're looking at the ingredient, right? You're checking it out. Is this a good option? Is this clean enough? Oh, I like this other one. It's meatier, right? It's heavier. It's more bang for my buck. So I'm really testing it out, and I'm feeling this bitch behind me on some, like, about to tap my ankles because she's on her little wheel on chair, chair on wheel situation. So I turn around and I'm looking at her because I'm thinking that she's just trying to get towards an item, right? An ingredient that's in front of me. So I'm about to just like move myself a little bit so she could get to where she needs to go, because again, I'm thinking she's disabled. So I'm like, oh, let me go ahead and just move, no big deal. So then she gestures for me to remove my headphones, my AirPods. And I'm like, okay. So I'm just like, I smile and I remove my AirPod, and I'm like adjusting my neck in a way that's like, huh? Yeah. So I do that, right? And so then she goes on and say what she said. She's like, oh, excuse me. Can you help me? I'm disabled. Stop right there. Stop right, because you already don't have my sympathy. You already don't have my sympathy. You know why? Because the fuck? If you are, you are, right? That's like me coming up to you and saying, hey, I'm a woman. Here are my pronouns. I always go back to this topic, huh? Maxine, let it go. If people want to go by pronouns, let it go, right? No, because it's confusion. You're confusing the youth. Dead ass. I will stand 10 toes down. I don't care. Every conversation goes back to these dumbass pronouns. Oh, I cracked myself up. No, anyway, so she's on this like, I'm just like, if you were disabled, you don't have to tell me you're disabled, ho. Right? Like, you don't have to tell me who you are. You just are, right? Whatever happened to just being. So then she's on some, and then, like, you could, in her eyes, she's like squinting and she's trying to present this more like vulnerable. I need so much. Mind you, she's talking like she got beat up or something. Like, bitch, your face is fine. I see no bruises. You're not slurring your words. Like, you look pretty able to me, ho. You just happen to be on this chair on wheels, that's available to HEB customers. But as far as disabled, retarded, shit like that is not you. Off the top, that's not you. And I'm a good judge of character when it comes to, oh, this bitch is crazy and this bitch is crazy, right? You know what I mean? Like, and I say that because growing up, I remember when I was old enough to take the bus home, and the way the bus stop was, it was like 2 or 3 blocks from where my house was. And so I would get off the bus stop, and then I would have to walk like 2 streets to get to my house. And during that walk, I would encounter so many strange, eccentric characters. People who you just knew, okay, just don't make eye contact, because as soon as you make eye contact, they're going to want to start a conversation. So I knew from a young age who's crazy and who's not, right? Who to make eye contact with and who to not. Who to walk a narrow, straight path from, and who you could just feel like, okay, you don't have to feel like you have to be on edge with this person, type of thing, even though my head was still on a swivel. So I meant to say that earlier, swivel, not pivot. Why did I say pivot? Anyway, so I was looking at her. I'm like, yeah, this bitch looks fine to me. Talk about I'm disabled. How do you start off, I'm disabled? First of all, what's your question? What do you need? Do you need help? Oh, do you know where the parsley is or whatever? First of all, I'm not an HEB employee. Ask someone else who's clearly wearing the uniform. So I was a little confused anyway with why she even tried to get my attention and gesturing for me to take off my AirPods. So then when she was like, can you help me? I'm disabled. And she likes talking with this slow ass speech. I'm disabled. And I'm looking at her like, okay, like, what do you want? I didn't say that. I was like, oh, okay. And I'm literally still thinking maybe she needs assistance with something in the store, or like, I don't, something like that. Like, oh, do you know who I could speak to about returns? Something like that, you know? Which again, I still felt like, ask an HEB employee who you clearly could spot out. So then she's like, yeah, I'm disabled. And I'm like, okay. Can you give me a ride home? And then she, right after she asked me that, she says again, I'm disabled. I'm like, if you don't get the fuck out of my face. What I said to her was, I won't be able to do that. And I just turned around. I'm like, I won't be able to do that. And mind you, I quickly, the way I shifted, you guys, because again, you know, I start off with this nice appearance, right? I start off with it is genuine. I'm smiling, you know, I'm listening, I'm in aid, right? Because I'm giving you a listening ear in the moment. And then when you hit me with some bullshit, I'm like, bitch, get the fuck out of my, like, no, I won't. And I turn around. I don't apologize for it. I don't try to give an explanation. I don't try to give you other assistance while letting you know that I won't be able to help you. Oh, I'm so sorry. I can't help it. Oh, I'm so sorry. Maybe you could ask someone, hey, how about I give you my phone and you go outside and run away into your car and speak to your nigga who's a pimp, who's driving the car, who's going to say, yeah, bitch, you got my money. No, I'm not falling for it, ho. Disabled bitch, I'm not doing that. So she's like, I'm disabled. Could you give me a ride back home? Instantly, all of these questions came to mind. Like, first of all, how'd you get here? How did you get here? And not just get here, but you got in the cart for those who are in need of this cart. You know, you got in this cart. You knew to get in this cart because it's available for those who need chairs on wheels. And you're driving around in the produce area as if you were really just able to go ahead and grocery shop. So this whole, I'm disabled, how did you were able enough to get here, right? Huh? Your disabled ass was able enough to get here. How? Oh, okay. Figure out the same way to do it in return. Do the same thing in reverse. Reverse that bad boy. I'm disabled. Girl, shut the fuck up. No, you're not. Get up. And her legs were fine. No, but like, don't try to get me, dog. Don't try to get me. She was like probably like 47, 52, around that range. And it was just the gall of her. Like, first of all, who do you think I am? Don't play with me. I don't care what the script is. I do not have sympathy. If you're trying to get me got, right? If you're trying to play me, I don't care. I'm not giving any sympathy card, any sympathy reward. No. Absolutely not. So she's like, I'm disabled. Can you give me a ride home? Huh? I wish, honestly, as soon as I said, no, I won't be able to do that, and I turned around, I wanted to turn right back around and be like, first of all, how did you get here? Ma'am? Yeah, how did you get here? Yeah, you say you're disabled, right? Tell me how you got here. Tell me the story. Because I felt like as soon as I said no, she knew to just be like, okay. And just like, she immediately scooted her ass away from me. She wasn't like, no, like she didn't continue with this sob story that she made up, which I don't believe she's disabled. I think it's an act. Mind you, what if I'm wrong? What if she really is the same? She just needed help. I don't care. It felt funny too, because prior to her coming up to me, I felt her presence a moment ago, actually. And because I was in the produce aisle for a little while looking for my ingredients, and I felt her like scooting around. Maybe not around. Well, I don't know. I felt her around me or in my proximity, and I guess she just decided to take her shot. But I remember seeing her prior to that moment, and I was thinking like, interesting. And then so for her to finally come up to me talking about, hi, I'm disabled. Not even hi, I'm Ashley. I've been looking around, like, what the fuck? I don't give a fuck. No. Move your disabled ass and figure it out. The same way you figured it out to ride your ass over here, right? Oh, you figured it out? Figure it out again. I'm disabled. Shut up, bitch. You ain't shit. Oh, I hate that. And even let's say she really was, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because you have some level of intellect. How did you get here? Don't try to play with me. Don't try to play with me, dog. I promise you she wasn't disabled. I promise you she was trying to play with me. And I promise you she saw me as a target, a vulnerable target. And that is what I find the most offensive. Don't assume things about me, right? Don't assume that you could play me. No, I'll play your ass right back. No, I won't be able to. And I turn right back around like, absolutely not. I'm not going to continue to engage with you. I gave you the benefit of the doubt. I gave you the common courtesy by even turning around and taking off my AirPod to listen to your slurred ass speech. I'm disabled. Shut up. No, you're not. How'd you get here? Her ass just scooted on by. I felt like as soon as I said, no, I won't be able to, she was just instantly like, oh, okay. And she just drove off. I should have watched her to see if she went to another culprit. But man, that was just I just find that so offensive. But shout out to her and shout out to HEB. But and that brings me to another story because prior to, it was like a year ago at this point, anytime people come up to me at HEB, I'm noticing it's on some crook shit. It's really on some crook shit. Like, the first time someone came up to me at HEB, I was at my regular, I go to 2 HEBs. There's one I go to the most, but there's another one that I go to that I frequent as well. So it's between those two, and I was at either one of those. And this woman, she's around my age. So she was like, she was around my age, definitely in her late 20s or early 30s. And she came up to me, and again, at the produce aisle. What is it about the produce aisle? I don't know. Maybe because something about the freshness. Maybe because it's a populated area. As soon as you walk in, people instantly look through there because you see your fruits, you see your vegetables, you're testing out the fruit. So I think that's something about, that attracts people more, and it's a more opportunity to have a conversation. Anyway, she comes up to me, mind you, again, she's like around my age. And at the time, I had these knotless braids on. And so she comes up to me, she's like, oh my gosh, I love your hair. And this is a quick way to gain the trust of a woman, right? If another woman compliments you on anything that you have, that's womanly, right? It could be your hair. It could be, oh my gosh, I love your body. I need to get my body like that. Or, what do you do? Right? And if I had like a BBL, and I'm just using that as an example because there's a lot of BBLs out here, and I could assume someone coming up to another woman saying that is because they noticed that they have a BBL body, and they're trying to get the intel on who's your surgeon type of thing. So if I had which I don't, I love my body. I'm not saying I don't. Well, I'm just giving that as an example. But the point is, like, when a woman compliments another woman, it creates that level of trust, and it allows the woman to just break down any barriers that they may have, right? So this woman comes up to me and she's like, what she said? She's like, oh, she's like, I love your hair. Your hair is so nice. I love your braids. You're like, who, where do you go to get it done? I'm like, I go to this African lady or this African shop, and I'm talking to her about that. And then what I noticed was kind of strange about the conversation was she was trying to get me to tell her exactly where it was. When it's like, bitch, I just told you the name of it. Just at your own leisure, look it up and go there if you really are interested. But like this whole, oh, wait, what is it called? Let me type it in right now. And like she was trying to hold me down into the conversation more than need be. And I'm like, okay. But in the moment, I think the reason why it was a vulnerable situation for me is I was just so like desperate to gain a female friend at the time. And I just really wanted another female friend that I had on my own rather than a friend that I gained from a mutual friend. I just wanted a friend on my own type of thing. That was how my head worked at that time. And I was just so like desperate for that. And I saw her as an opportunity to have that. So I'm like, oh my gosh, maybe this could be I'm thinking so down the line, like, oh my God, this could be my new friend. And I gain her as a friend on my own and not because of a mutual friend. This is my friend. And I'm literally thinking about all of this in that moment in time, y'all. So then I'm following along with her, explaining to her the name of the salon and, not even assuming that she could have got me in that moment. But even at that time, though, I still have my purse on me. Like, I still believe in holding my stuff on me because you never know. You don't care. Like, I don't care. I always keep my things on me. So, and I'm looking around, too, just kind of making sure no one's trying to come up behind. I don't know. Even though I'm in the obviously public place and we're in the produce aisle, which is even more populated, again, I still felt the need to just keep my things close just as a protection, as a form of protection. So... yeah, so what's to talk about my hair and the place that I go to. So then she ends up talking about, where do you live? Where do you stay? And I said, I live, here, yada yada yada. What else? And then we got to talking about we just happened to mention what do we do for work. And I remember being specific in my response, but I remember her not being as specific as me. I think she just said, did she say she's in accounting or she has a business? It was vague enough, right? Like, because it's one thing to be in accounting, but if you're in accounting, then you're an accountant, right? Just say that. She didn't say that. If you're an entrepreneur, then you'll name the business that you own, right? Anyway, so her response was very vague, and I did note that in my mind, like, okay, whatever. So we ended up exchanging numbers, and again, I was in that headspace of, well, this could be my new friend that I gained on my own, right? Anyway, so not shortly after, she texted me, and she's on some, it was so great meeting you, and no, actually, I was the one who texted her first because, again, I was in that headspace of being desperate for a female friend that I made on my own. So I'm like, it was so great meeting you. We should hang out if you're cool with that. Just kind of on this, like, desperate shit, whatever. So then she responds, but, like, late. I'm like, dang, I thought we had a great connection. But she responds super late. And I think she just said, like, oh, hey, yeah, that sounds good, right? It was just kind of very short. And I'm like, dang, that was kind of short. I was hoping for more of a open-ended response. I was hoping for I'm free this Saturday. Let's, do you want to take a walk at the park? Do you want to check out this bar or whatever? Because actually, in my first text to her, I was very straightforward. I was just like, hey, you want to check out this cafe? Like, I was just... one thing about me, when I go after something, I go after it, right? So if I'm interested in the friendship, I'm interested in a relationship, I go after it, and I don't really hold any bars. So anyway, so she responded to me after me suggesting like a friend date, she was very short and didn't really I think she just said she couldn't do this Saturday, or she's she'll be busy and she'll let me know type. It was just very short and like, okay, that door's closed. Oh my gosh, like at the time. So then shortly after, I want to say 2 days later, she texted me. No, she calls me and she's like, "Oh, hey Maxine, just calling to see how you're doing. I remember you said that you're a teacher, right? Well, if you're interested in making some more money, just let me know. I have my own business, and I think it will be a great opportunity for you to get on board, and you'll gain customers and additional source of income." Right, she's saying like these key words that are attractive, right? Oh my gosh, additional source of income, or um extra money on the side, and all these keywords that are attractive. But I was so turned off instantly. Like, I think, ugh, I'm so grateful for how I was raised. I really want to thank my parents, and I really want to thank God, because honestly, if I was raised very, very materialistic, very just like money driven, and yes, money is important. I don't want to discount money and the importance of it. It is important. I do recognize it's an energy exchange also, but I also feel like there is something to knowing that money isn't everything, and it's really about, like, there are other things more important, right? There are other things or just as important, right? It's about your character. It's about your love, your faith, your family, things like that. The intangible are more important. And so I feel like, had I not been raised that way, I would have jumped at the opportunity of anything that said, "Do you want to make more money? Do you want to make extra money?" Something I'm just like, I'm not interested. Like, I don't care. I don't care how you want to paint it to me. Absolutely not. And the reason why I was so turned off by this is because I was looking at her as a friend, right? I was looking at her as an opportunity of a friendship. And when her instant response or call to me was about money, I was so turned off. My taste got sour. I was hurt. I was hurt over this fucking stranger who I imagined this friendship with. It was so weird, but I was just so turned off. And again, it was a scam, right? It was another scam, because she was like talking about this MLM thing. She, of course, when you have an MLM business, you don't name it that, right? MLM, for those who may not be familiar, is multi-level marketing. And basically, you make money from other people, and it's a network marketing. It's a pyramid scheme. It's a pyramid selling. And the more people who you have on your team, quote unquote, the more money you make. So if you recruit more people, you give them the idea, hey, you can have your own team, you can make money, it continues to build you more wealth. And there's a lot of it's just not sustainable, and it's not founded off of anything that's ethical, honestly. And this is, look, maybe it's offensive to whoever is in MLM right now, but it's my opinion and I'm sticking by it. It just always was something that just didn't really amount to much. And yet, people have made a lot of money from it. People have done great things from it, but it's not an ethical source of income. And some things I don't care how you want to paint it to me, I'm not interested. I would rather not. I was watching this podcast a little while ago, and this woman who is very intelligent. She has so many sound opinions and points that she makes on the podcast. And she's also a beautiful woman. She has a career of making money off of her beauty rather than her intellect. And maybe it is a share of her intellect as well, of course. But for the most part, people know her from her risque photographs that she has taken over the years. And not like butt ass naked, not porno per se, but you could sell it as soft porn. She has made a career making a lot of money from selling her body in a very risque way. And again, not completely nude, but in bathing suits, skimpy outfits. Anyway, so she was on this podcast and she is talking about how she has this OnlyFans. And in the OnlyFans, she says that she doesn't necessarily take off her clothes or like have sex on camera, but she alludes to sex. She makes it seem like she's about to touch herself, and that is what attracts her customers. And the thing with OnlyFans, you could sell whatever you want, right? But typically those that are most successful on OnlyFans are successful because they are selling sex. And they may be selling sex but not doing sex in their content. Either way, they're selling sex. So one of her videos, one of the content that she pushes out is her showing her feet, her bare feet, and she's mushing cake with her feet, her bare feet, and I think her toenails are painted as well. And apparently this is a kink that a lot of people have. I talked about this in a previous episode, how the episode's called Normalized Kink Shaming. And in that episode, I talk about just different kinks that people have. And typically these, the audience for the people who have these kinks are people who are in Bangladesh, Russia, like over there. And something about that culture over there that they just like this weirdo ass shit. Anyway, so she has a large following of people who like this weirdo who like her bare feet smushing cake. Like what? And so she's doing that to make money, to make a profit, and to gain this additional source of income. And I'm looking at her as she's saying this, and you know how like she'll, nowadays this whole like, you own your sexuality. This is feminism. You own your sexuality. Own your body, your choice, all that BS. And it's like, but like, why? Like, but why are you doing this? Like, does that bring you joy? Like, why? And then the typical response is, well, the money brings me joy. The money does. It's like, but the way to get this money, is it worth it? Like, is it worth getting your feet dirty in cake? Like, how do you feel after that? Like, doesn't that mess up with your esteem in some way? Like, I would feel dirty. I would feel like, this is disgusting. What am I doing? All to get $1,200, which look is good money, right? But it's still, I just think there's no cost to it for me. There's no cost to it that will make me want to do something that will make me feel disgusted. And you may think on the surface like, oh, it's just cake, you're just putting your foot. I don't want to do, like, I'm not doing that. I just don't find it pleasurable to know that I am doing something that is making you take your dick out and stroke it one good time or a couple good times. I just don't, that just makes me feel weird. It makes me feel uncomfortable. I don't feel like that is just the order of things. So anyway, she was just saying this, and I was just so taken aback because she's such a smart woman. She's so, at least she presents herself very intellectual, and it was just so weird seeing her do something like that. And it's like, dang, girl, okay. Anyway, so this brings me back to that moment with that girl on some like MLM. Hey, you wanna make some extra money? So if I was someone who was just all about money and, making a profit regardless of how I make it, I would have jumped on her team and been a part of this MLM scheme. So God bless. And this is a lesson for everyone out there. Do not talk to anyone at HEB. Just shop and drop. Okay? Shop and drop. Don't. Like, honestly, anyone who tried to talk to you at HEB, and I'm being specific for HEB. So maybe it's about HEB. I don't know. But it attracts some crooks. But if anyone tries to holler at you at HEB, no. Say no. If anyone tries to say hello, I like your braids, no. Okay, thank you. Okay, goodbye. Right? Just or smile and head nod. Because again, when you give someone a fucking inch, they take a mile. So absolutely not. So yeah, God bless. All right, let's get into these topics. Adidas is not doing well in sales after cutting ties with Ye. So as you guys know, Ye, formerly known as Kanye West, has been, for a while now, being reprimanded for the controversial takes he's had. And he has lost some business because of this. And his famous sneaker line called Yeezys was under Adidas. And this has been a successful line for quite some time. It is an expensive line also. But what's different about this line and others is that it is still something that people will purchase regardless of the cost, and it is something that you would wear often. So it is a good cost per wear situation. You get your money's worth basically. So, Adidas, because they wanted to present this virtuous value signaling to others, saying, oh, we don't stand with Kanye and his controversy, and his controversial takes and yada, yada, yada. They decided to drop him from the line, yet they continued his sneaker design and just dropped his name from it, which is like crazy. Like, what the fuck? But in spite of them doing that, their sales have been plummeting. And that's because people really liked the fact that Yeezy's logo was on the sneaker. So people are reacting to this saying how, wow, this is redemption for Kanye because he is finally getting the just due that he deserves. And Adidas is actually trying to pitch with Kanye to get him back on their team. So Adidas reveals that they're expecting to lose $1.3 billion in sales due to them cutting ties with Kanye. Adidas is saying it's in a serious pinch financially, and the company's pointing fingers at its split from Kanye West as the reason why. According to TMZ, Adidas has announced they are currently in a serious financial pinch due to them severing ties with Kanye West. In an update Thursday, the sports brand stated they are expecting to lose $1.3 billion in sales in 2023 because they are unable to sell their remaining stock of Yeezy shoes and clothes. After cutting off Ye due to his controversial comments, Adidas said they'd continue selling Kanye's designs without the Yeezy logo, which was a bad move. Like, who wants to still wear Yeezys without the logo? You're going to get laughed at for not having the brand. Based on a recent financial report, that idea has not been successful. Bjorn Gulden, who is the CEO of Adidas, made the following statement: "The numbers speak for themselves. We are not performing the way we should." So this is a big slap in the face for Adidas. I'm not sure if they're trying to go back with Kanye after this, or if Kanye is even interested. We haven't heard from Ye lately. I hope he's doing well, but last thing I heard from him was basically him him trying to attack paparazzi for following him. And that's the thing about becoming a celebrity. There's this just expectation to perform, this expectation to always be ready, always be available. And yet, this is not what they want to do anymore. Like, Ye does not want to be a quote-unquote celebrity. And it is unfortunate, but it's something that they sign up for. And I understand the fact that, yes, he's still a human being and yada, yada, yada. But he is a celebrity. And This is just a part of the shtick, you know? So shout out to Adidas and them losing money. New Jersey restaurant disallows kids under 10 to dine there, and I approve of this. Not because I don't like children. I do love I love kids. I do. I don't love parents who don't know how to control their kids. And I'm reading a comment I'm reading some comments lately of a reaction to what's his name? What's that basketball player? Stefan Child, the light skinned one who's like a goody two shoes, and his parents who were married but now they're divorced, and they're divorced because they were swinging and they actually like their swinging partner better, so now they're with their respective partners. It's a crazy ass story. What is his name? Oh my god, it's gonna bother me. Steph Curry. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I just had a brain fart. So Steph Curry. So there's a video of Steph Curry's youngest child and the nanny, and they're at the basketball game, and she's trying to get the child to stop swinging from the bar that's attached to the railing that's next to the seating. And the kid's being a kid, right? The kid is 4, looks like he's 4, and he's not trying to listen to the nanny. And the nanny's she's not even being disciplinarian at all. Like, she's very chill with it. Like, okay, let's just come on. Like, no, you gotta speak up. And I'm not saying you have to yell at the kid. I don't think yelling is necessarily effective all the time. I just think you have to raise your voice and do it in a way that's assertive, and that is just as effective, if not, I think it's actually more effective than yelling. People think just yelling is the best way to discipline a child. No, you have to stand in what you say and give them that look, okay? And they understand. But she was just being very passive with him and kind of like, oh, okay. And maybe, I don't know, maybe it's her first year nannying or she just doesn't feel comfortable knowing that this is the kid of a celebrity basketball player. Like, I don't know what it is, but she was not disciplining that child. So one of the ushers, who looked like an Asian woman, an older Asian woman who you could tell was not about that mess, right? She was definitely about get your ass away from these bars and sit down, type of thing. So then she gets up, and she, as the kid is about to swing on the bars again, she gets up and she looks at the kid. No, you cannot do that. Like, well, she mouths something along those lines. And she's telling him, and she's doing it in a way that's assertive, very straightforward. She wasn't mean. She wasn't yelling at him. She didn't hit him. Like, it wasn't aggressive, but it was assertive and it was clear. And that kid understood. That kid understood the assignment and got his ass right over to the nanny and stopped doing what he wasn't supposed to be doing. And as I was reading the comments, I noticed some people saying, oh, that's why we gotta let kids just be kids. Why you get mad at a 4-year-old for being 4? What? And that's the problem with kids today. You have people just like not understanding the need to control themselves, right? Not understanding the purpose in getting yourself in order. And that is what's most important here. You cannot just keep on doing whatever you want to do. It's about having a time and place. There's a playtime and then there's sit down time, right? When you're at church, if you're a young kid, regardless of you being a young kid, shut the fuck up, right? Stop having a temper tantrum. You can't just start screaming, talking loudly. There's a decorum. There's a level of there's a conduct that you have to follow at this establishment, regardless of your age. And so as I was reading these comments, like, people were just like, why can't we just let kids be kids? And like, this is why your kid is about to kill you. This is why your kid has a gun, because the kid never knew discipline. Okay? So this New Jersey restaurant thought it was within everyone's best interest to just not allow kids under 10 to dine there anymore. And honestly, it said what needed to be said, because if it became to a point where, okay, you know what, let's just not have any kids moving forward under the age of 10 dine here anymore, that really speaks to the fact that there's been a history of kids under the age of 10 wilding out at this establishment while the parents, the guardians are not doing their job. And now you're making this experience of dining out, which is really a form of luxury. Eating out frequently or even once in a while is a form of luxury. And if my experience of luxury is being interrupted by your badass kid, or maybe, I should say your badass parenting, I'm pissed. My experience is being tainted because of your kid and your horrible parenting. Get your ass together. So if you can't parent well, then don't bring your kid here. Oh, let me make this easier for you. How about your kid is not even allowed? Never mind you having the choice anymore because you obviously don't know how to parent. Let me do it for you. No kids under the age of 10 are allowed here. Okay? So it's a restaurant called Nettie's House of Spaghetti in New Jersey, and it bans children under the age of 10 from dining in their establishment. There's a quote said here from the restaurant, quote, "Between noise levels, lack of space for high chairs, cleaning up crazy messes, and the liability of kids running around the restaurant." Like, why is your kid running around? Like, what the fuck? We have decided that it's time to take control of the situation. Absolutely. I highly support this. In the post, the restaurant said they didn't come to the decision lightly, but some recent events have pushed us to implement this new policy. The business admitted the new policy will likely upset some customers, especially those of you with very well-behaved kids, but said they felt it was the best decision for their business. We love kids. We really do, truly do. But lately, it's been extremely challenging to accommodate children at Nettie's. Absolutely. It's like going to a hair salon. I've seen signs at hair salons in which it reads, kids under this age cannot be at the restaurant unless they're being serviced and their parent or guardian is with them. And that just was always it. Like, don't have your kid out here having a whole temper tantrum and you're not with the kid, or, the kid is just, doing whatever they want to do because they're a kid, right? And ultimately, you can't fault the kids. I'm not trying to fault the kid. I always go back to the parent, the adult in the room who's responsible. If the adult doesn't have strong parenting skills, then of course it's going to lead to the child behaving badly. So it is what it is, and I support this restaurant. I think restaurants should continue to stamp their decisions and be unapologetic for it. They could decide to not service whomever, and it is what it is. If you have a problem, go to the McDonald's around the corner. Okay? Moving forward. Super Bowl ad. So the Super Bowl came and went, child. I only tuned in because Rihanna was performing, and I was interested in watching her performance. Though I came into it with low expectations, and my expectations were met. My low expectations were met. And I say that to say it was a mid. People say mid. Now I don't know what mid stands for, but mid just basically means average. It wasn't spectacular. It wasn't entertaining per se. Yeah, there were like the illusions or just the awe and the gaze of heights. as part of her performance, and I think she did it on purpose, which was a good tactic. I like the fact that, you know, she had those elements there, the heights, the colors, the range of things. But it was boring. It was boring. And I never really was pleased with her performances ultimately. There was one performance of hers that I did like, and it was at the Grammys. This was years ago, and she was the performance was her at this dance hall, and the aesthetic of the whole performance really emulated what a basement reggae party look like, or that I've experienced when I was younger. Like, I remember those parties, and when she did it on stage, it was so fitting to that experience. So that was one performance I could think of that was really entertaining and just very spot on. And I think it just speaks to the fact that, look, she's a reggae artist, or, you know, I don't know. Look, she has a reggae background, and she kind of goes in and out of her reggae elements, right? Sometimes she's electronic, sometimes she's pop, whatever she pleases. But we know she's Rihanna, and she has roots in the Caribbean and yada yada yada. But anyway, I feel like ultimately, though, when you have reggae artists, they're pretty much chill, right? They present this like laissez-faire type of attitude, and that really speaks to the Caribbean, right? They're more of a laxed environment, a laxed speech, and it's all good, man, you know, just chill. And that's how Rihanna has been historically, just very chill. And even with the dance moves, it's just like wind the waist, unless you're doing like this hard ass grinding and you're getting fucked from the behind, but it's a type of dance movement, like what the fuck. But ultimately it's very chill. And so throughout this performance at the Super Bowl, she was just very chill. And I think the other big surprise, or the big element, was the fact that she was pregnant, and her being pregnant again soon after giving birth to her first child definitely added more to the performance. I think all of this was strategic, though. I think this was a way for us to be distracted by just low-level performance. Like, it wasn't entertaining, but we were distracted because, oh my gosh, is that a pregnant belly? Oh, we shouldn't ask. That's not the polite thing to ask a woman, but she's definitely pregnant. And she was insinuating that as she was rubbing her belly and holding her belly as a pregnant woman, not person, I rebuke that, a pregnant woman would. And she was just definitely, you know, just like there, you know. And this performance, like, I really just noticed more of the performance from her dancers. Her background dancers performed. They were the highlight. And people try to spin it, oh, I love how she highlighted her dancers. Like, girl, shut up. No one cares about her dancers. They were all in uniform. No one knows who the dancers are. It's not like we could spot out, oh, that's Rihanna's dancer. No. The difference between her dancers and Beyonce's dancers, we know Beyonce's dancers. They've been with her for years. We see their faces. Their faces aren't hidden or disguised in any way. I know that one girl, I can't think of her name right now, but, you know, the girl, everyone knows her. She's Beyonce's dance captain, actually. And she's always by Beyonce's side for every dance. People know her. And that is the relationship that we have. Like, we know specific dancers on Beyonce's team. In this case with Rihanna, we didn't know anyone there. We just saw a huge display of men in these white sperm outfits, and their eyes are covered, and they're just grinding and winding the waist, and that's it. Like, it wasn't like, oh, she's highlighting dancers. Yeah, we see the dancers dancing and more spotlights on them, but we don't know who they are. They're covered. Their eyes are covered. We don't know who they are. Anyway, the performance was mid. It was boring. Yes, it was, you know, so many lights and bright lights, and oh my gosh, is she pregnant? Like, there was so many, like, capturing moments. But again, if you look beyond that, you could recognize that the performance was whack, and she was clearly lip syncing. clearly lip syncing. And again, people try to use the excuse of, well, she's pregnant and you wouldn't want a pregnant woman doing too. Beyonce performed 9 months. Okay? When she sang Love on Top at the MTV Movie Awards, I think it was. Movie Awards? Yeah, it was Movie Awards. Or maybe, I think it was the VMAs actually. Either way, it was the MTV Awards for something. She sang real voice, okay? Her real voice was singing in live time Love on Top. And as you guys know, that is the intro to this podcast. The instrumental is Love on Top, in case you haven't realized. She was singing that song, and that with that song, you go an octave higher towards the end, right? And baby, it's you're the one I love. And then she goes higher, and then she goes higher. And this is a high-pitched part in which she goes to the roof, okay? And she did that on stage with this big-ass belly, and she dropped the mic. This is when she was pregnant with Blue, who's about like 13 years old. Oh my gosh, she is so big now. So tall. Such a preteen. Oh, so cute. Anyways, she did that in live time. Like, you can't beat that. So this whole excuse of, oh, well, she was pregnant. She couldn't do too much. Cut it out. Beyonce did it all. She did it for you. What do you mean you can't do it? You can. Just do it. Do it right. So nonetheless, it was a pretty boring experience. It affirms that I will not be attending any Rihanna concerts because she's not an entertainer. I'd watch her online. I'll watch her on different shows or whatnot, if I care to. But for me to spend money to watch her in live time, I would not do that for Rihanna. Now, Beyonce, I would, and I may. And these Beyonce tickets, it may happen, but we'll see, child. We'll see. Anyway, so the Super Bowl, apparently, so again, I only watched 10 minutes prior to Rihanna's performance, and then as soon as she was done, I continued what I was watching before. I cut off Super Bowl. I really don't care about any of that. I didn't attend any Super Bowl parties. There was one I was invited to, and I just didn't go because I didn't feel like being around people and like too many people. I didn't really care about the game like that, and no thank you, and whatever. So, what was I gonna say? Anyway, so yeah, I wasn't really invested with the Super Bowl. So, but from what I've heard is there were a lot of religious commercials airing during the Super Bowl. And when you purchase a slot to air your commercial during the Super Bowl, you purchase a big penny, and apparently whoever is behind the quote "he gets us" ad is someone who has a lot of money. It's someone who definitely had enough money to spend, because this was an ad that was frequent throughout the Super Bowl time slot. And also, this ad is frequent on Twitter. I noticed that there's this ad in which it starts off with "he gets us," and I immediately knew where it was gonna go, because as someone who grew up in the church, I know the rhetoric. Okay, so the ad, it actually has a YouTube page called I think it's called "He Gets Us," and the description of the page is "He Gets Us is not affiliated with any church, religious denomination, or political organization. Our goal is to help everyone understand and relate to Jesus as he's depicted in the Bible with the modern lens of his radical forgiveness, compassion, and love. We feel his teachings and lived experiences are as relevant to us today as they were 2,000 years ago. We strive to provide a safe place for people to ask questions, even tough ones, without fear or judgment. He Gets Us is an initiative of Servant Foundation, a designated 501c3 organization with a 100 out of 100 Charity Navigator rating. We're funded by a diverse group of donors passionate about freeing the name of Jesus from those who'd use it to judge, harm, or divide. So that is their agenda. That is their motive when they are just promoting their video and God and Jesus in particular. So some people are having some like issues with it because they feel like, did someone change the channel? How come I'm always seeing these Christian ass commercials during the Super Bowl? And they feel some type of way about it. It just made me think about the fact that during the Grammys, you see an onslaught of sexuality, gay sex, transgender. Be who you are, which is code for be as much as a freak in public as you want. That's what that means. When people say, I want to be who I am, they're basically saying, I want to be a freak in public and not get penalized for it. Like, can we, just leave it in the bedroom? Can we dial it back? And this is from someone who says, I'm in support of porn watching, but I just think there's a time and place, right? Like, don't just be porn watching at work, shit like that. But again, I don't think we should shame people for pleasures, but I think we shouldn't have to onslaught each other with our proclivities. Like, that's a little too much, So just as the society that we're in pushes for us to accept everything LGBTQIA+, yada, 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 we should also allow people to be able to worship and give praise and talk about their religious upbringings and perspectives without shame, without harm, without judgment also, So just as you may not want to be judged for your orientation, we should also not judge others for their perspectives. We should just continue to learn how to live, or just coexist with other people who have difference of opinions or just different lifestyles. Like, it's okay either way. And it's just so weird how we're being pushed to accept one way of thinking and one way of living life while being shamed for the opposite point of view. So that's what this had me thinking. I want to just end off with this last story here. Remember the Duggars? The Duggar, actually. So the Duggar family was a very popular conservative Christian family in which 19 children was brought up in a reality show by their parents, and they experience a level of just sexual abuse that was just odd, yet very much common amongst strongly religious households, because sexual abuse is not designed to, or not taught for us to discuss it in a way that is safe and open in a religious household, because the instant response is, well, God forgives, or leave it to God, and yet still allowing the abuser in the company of the victim or the survivor. So let's talk about this one of the children from this family. Her name is Jinger, and she is one of the 19 children from this popular reality show. She has become a powerful voice in a trend of young adults re-examining their own conservative Christian childhoods. Now, this is not coming from a place of suddenly hate God or suddenly, hate religion. Like, I don't want this to be presented as such. I just think sometimes it is far too common for those who come from a strongly religious background to have this experience of sexual abuse, and then that's it, right? And then, like, okay, well, it is what it is. I think we also have to have more conversations and more actionable steps moving forward to prevent this experience from being so prevalent. So when Jingy Dunger was about 14, her family piled into the family bus to drive to Texas from their home in Arkansas. They were headed to a conference for homeschooling parents and their children, an annual event, and yada yada yada. The trip was filmed for an episode of the reality TV show, and this became an instant hit, and it's called 17 Kids and Counting. The 17 later became 18, well, shortly, because it was back to back. So the mother was always pregnant, basically, and she was always pregnant with the next kid, with the next kid, with the next kid. On camera, her father extolled the group that put on the conference as character building and was one of the best things we've done for our family. He was very clear about his strong stance in Christianity. More than a decade later, almost everything about that episode of television has taken on a darker shade. The conference's influential founder, Bill Goldthwait, has been accused of sexual harassment and abuse by dozens of women and ousted them from the organizations he led, or he was ousted from the organizations. The Duggar, so the woman, Jinger Duggar, her older brother is actually in prison right now for downloading images and videos of child sexual abuse in a case that made headlines across country. And Jim Bob lost primary because he ran for Arkansas State Senate in 2021. The Duggars are no longer on television. Anyway, so you have this one of the children here, who is now 29 years old. She's married herself, and she has been able to come to a space where she is questioning or just re-examining how she was brought up. And for so long, if you're brought up in a religious household, you're taught to not question things and just acquiesce, right? Just kind of go with it, shut up and take it, shut up and be. You want to be a good girl, right? You want to be loved by God. You have to show your obedience. You have to be sweet and follow. And now that she's older and have experienced life, she's realizing that she was failed in so many regards. She has been just recognizing the failures of her parents, of her community, and reimagining what Christianity is. I think for so long, Christianity has been painting as this fear-mongering tactic to control the masses, right? If I tell you God is going to banish you from his presence, if he's going to denounce you as his child, then you're going to listen to me and you're going to follow what I say, right? So if I scare you into believing me, then you're going to believe me, right? And this has been successful in many regards, but it has also led people to feel traumatized and rebel against the church, so much so that you have people so traumatized by the church and by their religious upbringing that they are now completely opposite from how they were raised, right? Now they're whores. Now they're just staunchly in LGBTQIA. Now they are just everything but God. Or like, you know what I'm saying, respectfully. But now they're just everything but they're rebelling. That's what it is. They're rebelling against this cookie cutter expectation for them according to the biblical accounts that they were forced to believe and adhere to. Now, I'm not saying gay is like, you know, all these things. I'm not trying to do all of that. I respect everyone. I do. I want to point that out. I know I come off very strong and I stand by my opinions, but I also want to make it clear I do respect and care for people in general, right? Some things I may not agree with, but I don't banish you. I don't agree with damning anyone to hell or condemning them or it's making people feel bad. I used to be very judgmental when I was younger, and I since have left that ideology. So I do want to give myself credit for that. And I think also there's this like poor perception of having opinion on something and then assuming, oh, you're being judgmental. Like, no, bitch, I'm just having a fucking opinion. Judgmental is, I think judgmental is more so about like, I am so disgusted with you and I hope you rot in hell type of, I think that's where I was when I was younger. That was the judgmental side of me that was very apparent. Anyway, that's not me anymore. But the point is, I still have my opinions and I still go about them very clearly. Like, you can't push me or convince me any other way. And I still recognize that life is life, right? Like, I don't think people who are gay are bad people. I don't think people who are trans are bad people. I just think sometimes the messaging in how sexuality is presented is the problem here. I think we have to be mindful of how we present ourselves, particularly to children and to the youth that's around us. So when we are so quick to be like, I want to be who I am, okay, be who you are, but don't let that impose on the innocence of a child who is impressionable and who can be easily influenced to a lifestyle that they weren't supposed to be in. But now you have embedded in them to go ahead and taste this cookie, right? Taste this lollipop. And now they're about their experience in a very disorderly way. That's what I have a problem with. Like, as an adult, do whatever you want to do. I respect that. Like, I have gay friends, the typical. I hear people like, oh, that you can't say that. You can still be racist. You can still be a homophobe. You can still. No, you can't. I don't believe that. I do have gay friends. I do, and I love them. I'm actually about to hang out. Well, we'll see. But we were like hanging out the other day, me and a gay friend of mine, and we're just catching up. Like, I don't hate people. I don't have hate in my heart. I really don't. Shit, and there was a time I was a little bit of gay. I don't know. But anyway, moving on. Duggar is, she's re-examining her childhood. She's re-examining her childhood. And it is what it is, child. God bless her. I'm going to go ahead and end the episode here. This was an episode. But that disabled bitch had to go. I was going back to the first topic. I'm still aghast. Is that the right word? Let me make sure it's the right word. Definition. Yeah, I'm still aghast. I'm still filled with shock. Okay? I'm still aghast from how that disabled bitch was trying to get me earlier. The nerve of her. Her ass probably just got up from her chairs on wheels after realizing that she was not about to get me. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. All right, you guys, I'm going to go ahead and end the episode here. Thank you so much for listening, and I will check in with you all next time. Peace. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of God Built This Podcast with your host, Maxine. If you liked it, leave a review, share, and subscribe. God bless.